All right. We will begin our study today in the book of Matthew, continuing from verse number 36. Right. So in the last meeting, we saw that Jesus had given them a lot of instruction while coming to this particular place, this garden that was there at the foothills of the Mount of Olives. Right. This had a lot of olives in this region, and so in Greek, Gethsemane means olive press, and so this garden was given that name those days. But Jesus, the book of John tells us that Jesus used to go there very often and pray during that the time that he was in Jerusalem. He used to go there. So as he was approaching the garden, he was talking nicely to the disciples and everything, but as he came very close to the gate, to the entrance of this particular garden, everything changed. Jesus was not his normal self anymore. Suddenly he became silent. Right? He was not speaking anything. He became silent, and the disciples could see that there was such a heaviness inside Jesus's steps also. Right? As we heard the song, his steps were heavy and slow. It was as if he was laboring hard to take every step to that garden, right? So as we read this, try and understand what Jesus was going through. What Jesus went through in Gethsemane was in many ways, when he was here, the kind of words that he said, the suffering that he was going through in Gethsemane, in his mind and physically, were comparable, if not more, than what he went through on the cross. Right? That was physical agony. But here, what he went through is the ultimate suffering of Jesus Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane. And so we will read this reverently, this particular chapter. When he was going to Gethsemane, how many disciples were with him? 11 disciples were there, correct? And then he told all of them, you stay here and pray. But 3 of them he took with him to the inner part of the garden. All the others were at the entrance, but he usually went inside to another place to pray. So let's see from 36 to 45, please. Matthew 26, from 36 to 46. 36 to 46.
అంతట యేసు వారితో కూడా గెత్సెమనే అనబడిన చోటికి వచ్చి, నేను అక్కడికి వెళ్లి ప్రార్థన చేసి వచ్చే వరకు మీరిక్కడ కూర్చుండుడని శిష్యులతో చెప్పి, పేతురును జెబెదయి 2 కుమారులను వెంటబెట్టుకుని పోయి దుఃఖపడుటకును చింతాక్రాంతుడగుటకును మొదలుపెట్టెను. అప్పుడు యేసు, మరణమగునంతగా నా ప్రాణము బహు దుఃఖములో మునిగి ఉన్నది. మీరు ఇక్కడ నిలిచి నాతో కూడా మెలకువగా నుండుడని వారితో చెప్పి కొంత దూరము వెళ్లి సాగిలపడి, నా తండ్రి, సాధ్యమైతే ఈ గిన్నె నా యొద్ద నుండి తొలగిపోనిమ్ము. అయినను నా ఇష్ట ప్రకారము కాదు, నీ చిత్త ప్రకారమే కానిమ్మని ప్రార్థించెను. ఆయన మరలా శిష్యుల యొద్దకు వచ్చి వారు నిద్రించుట చూచి, ఒక గడియ అయినను నాతో కూడా మేల్కొని ఉండలేరా? మీరు శోధనలో ప్రవేశించకుండునట్లు మెలకువగా ఉండి ప్రార్థన చేయుడి. ఆత్మ సిద్ధమే గాని శరీరము బలహీనమని పేతురుతో చెప్పి మరలా 2వ మారు వెళ్ళి, నా తండ్రి, నేను దీనిని త్రాగితేనే గాని ఇది నా యొద్ద నుండి తొలగిపోవుట సాధ్యము కాని ఎడల నీ చిత్తమే సిద్ధించుగాక అని ప్రార్థించి తిరిగి వచ్చి వారు మరలా నిద్రించుట చూచెను. ఏలయనగా వారి కన్నులు భారముగా ఉండెను. ఆయన వారిని మరలా విడిచి వెళ్ళి ఆ మాటలే చెప్పుచు 3వ మారు ప్రార్థన చేసెను. అప్పుడు ఆయన తన శిష్యుల యొద్దకు వచ్చి ఇక నిద్రపోయి అలసట తీర్చుకొనుడి. ఇదిగో ఆ గడియ వచ్చి ఉన్నది. మనుష్య కుమారుడు పాపుల చేతికి అప్పగింపబడుచున్నాడు.
When Jesus went and he told the disciples, you stay here and you pray. Okay, and then he took 3 of the disciples, Peter, James, and John, right? 2 sons of Zebedee, James and John and Peter. Peter and these 2 disciples were known to Jesus. They were one of the first disciples to join, to be called as disciples. Their companionship was a little special, right? They were much closer than all the other disciples, right? Do you remember where else Jesus took them before this one? Only these 3? If you remember the transfiguration, the Mount of Transfiguration, right? Only these 3 went onto that mount and Jesus Christ was transfigured there. They saw his divinity there. And they saw who came to visit Jesus. Moses and Elijah came on the mountain to visit Jesus. And all of that was witnessed only by these 3, Peter, James, and John. They had that privilege because they better understood the mission of Jesus Christ. And so here also, why did Jesus take these 3 to go? And then what did he tell them? He said, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch with me. He asked them, this is the first time that they were seeing Jesus like this, right? His steps also were so heavy. He was floundering here and there. He was not even able to walk properly, right? They never saw Jesus like this sorrowful, because Jesus Christ would normally comfort them whenever they had any issue, or when they were discouraged. Jesus Christ would provide the encouragement. This is the first time Jesus told them, I need you. I need your prayer. I am going through something. My heart is so sorrowful, even till death. I feel like I am dying right now. That is how sorrowful my heart is. He never said these words before. And they were looking at Jesus. They never saw this kind of pain and anguish. Why was Jesus Christ going through this pain and anguish? Right? Till then, he was fine. Right? As he came to the Garden of Gethsemane, why was he feeling this pain and anguish? This is the moment that for why Jesus was born, right, on this earth. And the entire humanity of his 33 years, 33 years, he was, all of this of his humanity came down to this point, right, where Jesus felt the guilt and the burden of sin of this world, right? Till now, he always took refuge whenever, how many people accused Jesus of so many things, right? Jesus never felt discouraged or disappointed or disheartened at any of those things, right? Why did he never feel that? Jesus told that, I am not alone, right? I walk in the light of the presence of my Father. My Father will not leave me alone. And so whenever he needed that encouragement, he knew that his Father was there with him. Right? He knew that his Father was there with him. For the first time, right, the Father's presence was withdrawn from Jesus. Right? And he was now counted among the sinners. Now he was counted as one of the transgressors. He was counted along with the human beings as a sinner. And the sin of the world now rested upon Jesus. He felt the true weight of sin when he saw that the presence of his Father was removed from him. He could not take it. Jesus was unable to bear this moment. In humanity, he was not able to bear this moment. Why was he not able to bear? What is it about the withdrawal of the presence of his Father that made him suffer in such anguish. You know, when he entered the ministry, in fact, when he entered, when he was born, Satan wanted to remove him from this earth. Satan tried through Herod to get Jesus killed. God protected him. When he was about to begin his ministry, he went to the wilderness, right? There, Satan tried to stop him from beginning his ministry and tempted him so that he will make Jesus yield to sin, and tempted him with three of the temptations, right? Presented to him three of the temptations, and Jesus was successful, and Satan was unsuccessful in making Jesus sin or stopping the ministry of Jesus, right? So time after time, step after step, Jesus was obstructed by the devices of Satan. Satan used the Pharisees, Satan used the Sadducees at every point of time to bring some accusation so that he will say some false thing, or he will do something false, or that he will lose his patience, or he will give up his mission. Right? But all of those things don't compare with this moment that Jesus is going through, right? Because where the forces of evil were there, the forces of light were also there with Jesus. At this point, he was only surrounded by the forces of darkness. He was surrounded by the forces of darkness. Satan gathered his entire army in the Garden of Gethsemane. Legions and legions means thousands and thousands of Satan's angels, Satan's evil angels. All of them were surrounding Jesus. Why? This is the moment that they knew that the presence of his Father is not with him, and they can try one last time, because he was soon going to be victorious if he did not give up his mission. Tempt him to give up his mission. But what would the temptations be? What kind of temptation can they bring to Jesus to give up his mission? The biggest temptation that they would bring to Jesus to give up his temptation is, who are you giving your life for? Are you giving your life for these people? These people who rejected you all the while? Is it worth what you are doing? What you are going through, you're separating yourself from your Father in heaven. For whom? For these people? These people who mock you? These people who are shortly going to arrest you? These people who are going to do this to you, who hurt you? Are you going to bear all these things for these people? Is it worth it? Give it up. Jesus, even now, he had an opportunity to say no, that I will not do this for these people. Right? And so the cup of indignation, the cup of the guilt of the sin of this world was upon him. All the battle, the evil forces were battling against him. And he was left to do it by himself. It is not that the heaven was not even, they completely turned the other way. Never forget, God the Father was suffering along with Jesus Christ. Entire angels, they put all their singing and everything aside. They were looking down at whom? Their commander in chief, Jesus Christ, going through this agony. Jesus could have aborted his mission at that point of time, did not need to go through all of that. For a world that did not accept him. Out of all the people, there were few people who accepted him. He received more rejection than acceptance. And so he really wanted, Jesus Christ was there interceding on behalf of the disciples. He was always praying for the disciples, right? All this while he was praying to God. And so he was like an a person who would intercede between God and the people. At this point, Jesus needed someone to intercede on behalf of him. And there was nobody to intercede. Right? He needed an intercessor, and there was no intercessor for him. And so he requested the disciples, I'm going through something. I'm extremely sorrowful. The disciples did not know what he was going to go through shortly. Can you watch here and pray for me, so that I will have some encouragement that somebody is praying for me? That when you pray, you will understand what I am going through. Having said that, he went. He was not very far away, right? It was about a stone's throw away, right? Just there, they could see him, right? And then he literally fell to the ground. He became so weak, Jesus. He fell to the ground in this moment of extreme anguish and agony, right? He fell to the ground. He fell on his face and he prayed, "Oh Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." But there is a huge significance in this particular verse, right? Jesus Christ now, in his humanity, withdrawn from the presence of God, said, "Lord, this cup is too much for me to bear." Right? What I'm going through is too much for me. If there is any other way, right, that I should not go through this, let this cup pass from me. I am unable to take this, right? But look at the obedience of Jesus, right? And it's a great example for us. Nevertheless, not my will, but let your will be done, right? Let your will be done, Lord. So he prayed to his Father. And he longed for somebody to come and comfort him, right? Whenever he was discomforted during this time, heavenly angels would come and attend him. Whenever he prayed, the angels would surround him and comfort him. This is the one occasion nobody was there. Nobody was there to comfort him, right? And so out of pain and agony, he spoke those words. And then he got up from there. And then he went to see if he can at least speak to the disciples, because if they were keeping watch with him, they would understand what he's going through and they would be praying, right? So that some comfort would come to him. Pray to the Father. But what happened when he came back? Then he came to his disciples and then found them sleeping. Peter, James, and John, when Jesus said, "Pray for me," they began praying, right? They began praying for some time, but you must remember the garden at that point was filled with the forces of evil. Any encouragement, any support to Jesus had to be suppressed. And so they overcame these particular disciples with extreme slumber and sleep, so that they would not be vigilant, right? And these people did not, they did not will themselves to be vigilant and then stay awake. Had they stayed awake, it would have provided a mountain of support for Jesus, because that's what he asked for. Please stay, watch with me, and pray with me, right? But they yielded to the temptation of Satan, right? And they gave in. There were many occasions where the disciples spent the night in prayer with Jesus. So this was not like a first time that Jesus was asking them to pray in a late hour with them. But this was different. From all those times, this was a different thing. This is when Jesus needed them the most. And this is when Satan denied that to Jesus. By prevailing over the disciples, he found them sleeping, and he said to Peter, "What? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? Peter, is that you?" Who is this Peter? Just a few hours ago, what did Peter say to Jesus? When Jesus said that all of you will flee and all of you will deny, Peter was saying, even if everybody offends you, everybody goes away, Jesus, where is it that you are going, that you are saying, I cannot come? I will come anywhere. I will go any length, even if I have to die for you. I will not hesitate. That Peter could not watch and pray with Jesus for a short time. Who else? John and James. Who are these two people? What did their mother want for them? When you go into your kingdom, keep one son on the right hand and one son on either side of you, of your throne. Right? And then what was Jesus' reply to them? He said, will you be willing to drink from the cup that I'm going to drink, and baptized by the blood and the water that I'm going to be baptized in? Are you be willing? This is the ultimate test. Are you willing to take part? You want that place. But how far are you willing to go with me? If he had asked that question now to Peter, to John and James, are you willing to do that? They would have simply bowed down their head in embarrassment. So claiming other things and talking is easy, but Jesus at this moment, when he needed them the most, he did not have their support. And when they heard Jesus, they awoke, right? And they felt bad that they were not able to keep watch with him. And then he said, what did he say? Could you not watch 1 hour? Please watch and pray lest you enter into temptation. You know, what is this lest you enter into temptation? Jesus was not just talking about, even in this time, even at this time, do you know that Jesus was worried and concerned for his disciples also? He knew that they will, for a moment, deny him and scatter away. But he was still praying that Satan will not snatch them away completely. Right? That after that, when they returned, that they had a great mission to accomplish. Watch and pray. Watch and pray so that you will not enter into temptation. Pray even for yourselves, that tonight will not be the night where you are lost. Satan is trying to snatch you away. That after taking me captive, that none of the disciples also will ever exist again. He wants to destroy and end the mission of Christ tonight. Watch and pray. Right? I know that you want to do it. I know that you want to do it. But Jesus put it in the best way. What did he say? The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Right? That is the experience all of us go through in our life. We want to do it. Nobody wants to go on the wrong path. Everybody wants to do the right thing. You know, but so the spirit is there. The intent is there. Right? We want to do it. Right? But the flesh is weak. You know, Jesus spoke about the spirit and the flesh. Right? Two different things. Right? Spirit, our mind, all those things. Flesh, all our desires, our pleasures, our everything else, right, that comes into our mind, that pulls us away from God. Right? Our flesh is weak. There are things in our life that can pull us down. Right? If we are not strong, even if we have the intent of doing good, when that moment comes of temptation, because of our desires, because of our habits, right? Because of our tendencies to sin, those things pull us down. All of that is regarded as the flesh in our life, right? That part is our weakness. That part is our weakness, life. And Satan always works on that part, right? Satan knows exactly what are the things that bring us down, right? And so what brings you down will be very different from what brings me down. Satan will not have one temptation for everybody, right? For everybody, and every time it is different, right? At that point of time, what was the temptation that overcame them? Sleep, right? But it is not just sleep. It is it is their unwillingness to understand the situation of Jesus Christ, right? Had they understood the significance of what Jesus Christ was going through, they would have stayed awake, right? But they failed to understand, right? And so when they did not see the significance, sleep overtook them, right? And so many times in our life, at different circumstances, different things overtake us. And then he told that, and then he went again. The second time, same thing. He went again to the same place, and this time he prayed. He understood the will of the Father, Lord, that this has to happen. For the good of the people, this has to happen, right? Jesus left the divine authority, right? All the angels were watching, right? He could have ascended back and aborted the mission, right? But he came back. Jesus Christ's uh, uh, parable that he mentioned about one lost sheep, right? I will come seeking for that one lost sheep. This earth itself is like one lost sheep for Jesus. The book of Hebrews tells us that he created the worlds. He created the worlds. Our understanding is so finite. We do not know what is there beyond our solar system or beyond our galaxy. We have no idea. The universe is just massive, right? Where is there life there? Are there unfallen worlds that are there? It's absolutely possible, right? But if the earth was just one place that yielded to Satan, then the earth was like a lost sheep. And he left all the other worlds, the entire universe he left, and he came just for the earth, right? Can you imagine what is the earth in front of the universe, right? The earth is like a speck in front of the entire universe. He left all that universe, just came for us, came to this earth. The creator of not just the earth, he created the entire universe, right? And now the moment of truth, right? What did he say? My Father, if this cup cannot pass from me unless I drink it, let your will be done, right? Unless I drink it, if this cup cannot pass from me, then I will drink it, right? Let your will be done, right? And at this point of time, in such an agony, when he was there and discouraged with no support from his disciples, God sent a heavenly angel, right? The angel Gabriel, the position that was Satan's, the chief of the angels that was there in heaven, the chief of the angels came down to the Garden of Gethsemane, right? To say that we are all there with you because of what he was going through. In fact, I think it is recorded in it's probably Mark 14. Um, let's see, Mark 14. or Luke 22. Like I said, it was recorded by apostles, and we will go through every detail that happened in the Garden of Gethsemane. Yeah, Luke 22 actually. So if you go to Luke 22, can someone read 43 and 44? Luke 22, 43 and 44.
పరలోకము నుండి దూత ఆయనకు కనబడి ఆయనను బలపరచెను. ఆయన వేదన పడి మరింత ఆత్రముగా ప్రార్థన చేయగా ఆయన చెమట నేలపడుచున్న గొప్ప రక్త బిందువుల వలె రాయి.
Right. So it says, then an angel appeared to him from heaven. What did the angel do? Strengthened him in his moment of weakness. Right. He knew that heaven also, he knew that the support will be there for him from heaven. An angel appeared. And this time, Peter, James, and John saw that angel. Right. Once again, they saw his face shining so bright. Right. When that angel was there with him, and he strengthened. And then at this point of time, the agony of Jesus was so much that Mark and Luke recorded this, right? That his sweat was dropping like drops of blood. His sweat turned into blood. Right? This is the only instance ever that we will see, right? Such was his agony that he was going through. And the trees that were there, the tall trees, the cedar trees, the palm trees that were there around him, it was late in the night, there was dew that was there, right? Dropping the dew onto his face, as if the nature also was supporting him, right? His own creation was so sad at seeing their creator, seeing their savior going through this kind of suffering. His sweat turned into blood, drops of blood. Right? And so when we say the blood of Jesus cleanses us from all unrighteousness, that suffering did not actually only begin on the cross where the blood was shed. It began right here in the Garden of Gethsemane. His sacrifice for us began in the Garden of Gethsemane. He began shedding his blood in the Garden of Gethsemane itself. Right? And then what happened? Then back to Matthew 26, he left them and went away, and then he prayed a third time, saying the same words, right? The same words, Father, if this cup cannot pass from me, unless I drink it, let your will be done. Then he came to his disciples and said, are you still sleeping? Third time. And you're resting? Behold, now the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at. Right? Even now, after all of these things, are you still sleeping? Peter, James, and John, rise. Let us go. The hour has come. Right? But at this point of time, the utter disappointment that Jesus was going through and anguish was going through, that had been for an extent suppressed, and he was encouraged by the presence of the angel. Right? Still there was anguish, still it was there. But the part where he felt like he would not be able to endure it anymore, that was removed from him. Right? He knew that he will be able to do this. He loved the world so much that at this point of time, he would not give it up, right, for this world. And so he would not abort his mission. He would continue, and he made his decision to fulfill that particular mission, that he had the full support of heaven, right? And so he was willing to go and walk, right? And he said, now that hour has come. where the next things have to take place. Right? Jesus knew what he was going to get into very soon. And so let us see what happens next. All right, so let's go to from 47, 26, 47 to 56. 47 to 56.
ఆయన ఇంకనూ మాటలాడుచుండగా 12 మందిలో ఒకడుగు యోధ వచ్చెను. వానితో కూడా బహుజన సమూహము కత్తులు గుదియలు పట్టుకొని ప్రధాన యాజకుల యొద్ద నుండి ప్రజల పెద్దల యొద్ద నుండి వచ్చెను. ఆయనను అప్పగించువాడు నేనెవరిని ముద్దు పెట్టుకొందునో ఆయనే యేసు. ఆయనను పట్టుకొనుడని వానికి గురుతు చెప్పి వెంటనే యేసునొద్దకు వచ్చి, బోధకుడా, నీకు శుభమని చెప్పి ఆయనను ముద్దు పెట్టుకొనెను. యేసు, చెలికాడా, నీవు చేయవచ్చినది చేయుమని అతనితో చెప్పగా, వారు దగ్గరకు వచ్చి ఆయన మీద పడి ఆయనను పట్టుకొనిరి. ఇదిగో, యేసుతో కూడా ఉన్నవారిలో ఒకడు చెయ్యి చాచి కత్తి దూసి ప్రధాన యాజకుని దాసుని కొట్టి వాని చెవి తెగ నరికెను. యేసు, నీ కత్తి వరలో తిరిగి పెట్టుము. కత్తి పట్టుకొని వారందరూ కత్తి చేతనే నశింతురు. ఈ సమయమున నేను నా తండ్రిని వేడుకొనలేననియు, వేడుకొనిన ఎడల ఆయన 12 సేనా వ్యూహముల కంటే ఎక్కువ మంది దూతలను ఇప్పుడే నాకు పంపడనియు నీవనుకొనుచున్నావా? నేను వేడుకొనిన ఎడల ఈలాగు జరగవలనని లేఖనము ఏలాగు నెరవేరునని అతనితో చెప్పాను. ఆ గడియలోనే యేసు జనసమూహములను చూచి, బందిపోటు దొంగల మీదకి వచ్చినట్టు కత్తులతోనూ గుదియలతోనూ నన్ను పట్టుకొని వచ్చితిరా? నేను అనుదినము దేవాలయములో కూర్చుండి బోధించుచున్నప్పుడు మీరు నన్ను పట్టుకొనలేదు. అయితే ప్రవక్తల లేఖనములు నెరవేరునట్లు ఇదంతయు జరిగినని చెప్పెను. అప్పుడు శిష్యులందరూ ఆయనను విడిచి పారిపోయిరి.
Right? So while he was still speaking, behold, Judas, one of the 12, with a great multitude with swords and clubs, came from the chief priests and elders of the people. You know, the Jewish leaders, the chief priests, all of them, they gathered all the temple guards, all the temple police, basically, all of them. But they usually, you know, when they want to go and arrest somebody, they would simply send the police and the guards, right? In this particular case, even the chief priests, the scribes, all of them came. A great multitude came, right? Just to make sure that they are able to do this smoothly, right? And that there is no confusion that goes on there, or what incidents are going on there. They wanted to be there present, so they're in the control of the situation for the first time. All of them came, and along with them was Judas, right? And so Judas had an agreement with them. What was the agreement? He said, I'll give you a sign. What is that sign? Whomever I kiss, he's the one. Go and arrest him, right? And so during this time, there is also something that happens, right? They to make this sound as if, you know, Judas was not fully involved in this one, they make up some questions, right? For example, if you go to John 18, right? John 18, you know, actually Jesus is the one who asked them the first question, right? Can someone read John 18, 4 to 9, please? John 18, 4 to 9. What does Jesus ask them?
యేసు తనకు సంభవింపబోవనవన్నీ ఎరిగిన వాడై వారి యొద్దకు వెళ్ళి, మీరెవని వెదుకుచున్నారని వారిని అడిగాను. వారు నజరేయుడని యేసునని ఆయనకు ఉత్తరమియ్యగా, యేసు, ఆయనను నేనే అని వారితో చెప్పెను. ఆయనను అప్పగించిన యూదాయు వారి యొద్ద నిలుచుండెను. ఆయన నేనే ఆయననని వారితో చెప్పగా, వారు వెనుకకు తగ్గి నేల మీద పడిరి. మరలా ఆయన, మీరు ఎవరిని వెదుకుచున్నారని వారిని అడిగాను. అందుకు వారు నజరేయుడైన యేసునని చెప్పగా, యేసు వారితో, నేనే ఆయననని మీతో చెప్పితిని గనుక మీరు నన్ను వెదుకుచున్న ఎడల వీరిని పోనీయుడని చెప్పాను.
Thank you so much. Jesus, when he was he knew that these people are coming. He himself went and approached them. whom are you seeking, right? Obviously, they came to arrest somebody. What did they say? Judas did not yet kiss Jesus, but they said, we are seeking somebody called Jesus of Nazareth. And Jesus said, I am he. And even Judas, who betrayed him, he also stood with them. Now, when he said to them, I am he, what happened? They drew back and fell to the ground. They drew back and fell to the ground. What was happening here? The angel that was there, that Jesus came, the angel stood in between Jesus and the mob. Right? The glory of the angel at once, just shone so bright that all of them fell to the ground. Right? All of them fell to the ground. For a moment, they did not know what was happening. Right? They did not know what was happening. And then again, when they all regained their consciousness and the angel left from there, Jesus asked them again, whom are you seeking? Again, they said, we are seeking Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus said, I already told you that it is me. So if you are seeking me, please let these people go. Pointing to the disciples, don't arrest them, don't trouble them. Whom you are seeking is me, right? Let them go. But the confirmation who it is has to come from Judas, right? So what does Judas do? Judas, he came to his father immediately. He went to Jesus and said, greetings, Rabbi, and then kissed him, right? And kissed him as if nothing has happened, right? As if he is showing sympathy to the to Jesus Christ, right? As if he is on the side of Jesus, like, I'm with you, Jesus, don't worry about it. So he kissed Jesus, but that was actually a sign that this is the man that you should arrest, right? But Jesus said to him, friend, why have you come? Right? And that conversation actually is also recorded here. Again, like I was saying, right? There were some things recorded. So let's go to the book of Luke, right? Luke 22. Right? Luke 22, 47 and 48. Luke 22, 47 and 48. What did Jesus tell Judas?
ఆయన ఇంకను మాట్లాడుచుండగా ఇదిగో జనులు గుంపుగా వచ్చిరి. 12 మందిలో యోధా అనబడిన వాడు వారికంటే ముందుగా నడిచి యేసును ముద్దు పెట్టుకొనుటకు ఆయన యొద్దకు రాగా, యేసు, యోధా, నీవు ముద్దు పెట్టుకొని మనుష్య కుమారుని అప్పగించుచున్నావా అని వానితో అనగా.
Thank you. Jesus said, Judas, you betray the Son of Man with a kiss. Do you betray your master, the Son of Man, with a kiss? Right? Jesus could read the mind of Judas, right? Why he was doing what he was doing, right? Because even at this point, after seeing the guards and all of them fall to the ground, after seeing the glory of the angel's light and all of them fell to the ground, even now, the conviction, all of that had gone from Judas's heart. He was completely in the control of Satan, right? And these were the final words of Jesus to Judas. You betray your master with a kiss. Right? What a situation. Judas, who was there with Jesus all this while, understood his mission, right? Also played a role in the arrest of Jesus. Right? If Jesus' life had to be given on this earth, that is what he came for. But Judas did not have to play a role in that. Right? Jesus came and he would have fulfilled his mission one way or the other. But the choice of Judas was up to his own free will. That was not in the plan of salvation. Right? It was not God's plan that Judas will play this role. God had foreknowledge that Judas would betray him and sadly would play a role, but that was totally because of the choice that Judas made. Right? And then what happened here, Peter was the one who was always very aggressive. Right? He was extremely aggressive, and then he would defend Jesus no matter what. At this point, when he said, don't touch any of those things, you came for me, you take me and go. I am going to come willingly. Right? And so what he did, Peter had a sword. It's Peter. Correct. And here it is given actually in the other. No. But it is understandable. Okay, so let's. Okay, yes. So it's most likely Peter, right? One of them struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his ear, right? Given the impulses of Peter, it was most likely Peter who did that. But Jesus said, don't do this, right? Don't do this. Step back, Peter, step back, everybody. I don't need your help, right? And in fact, what did he do immediately? He touched that person's ear, right? And healed the ear right then and there, right? So what did he do? Let's read that part. So yeah, in fact, I think John tells it's Peter. But John 18, 8 to 11, please. John 18, 8 to 11. Anyone?
యేసు వారితో నేనే ఆయనతో చెప్పుతున్న కనుక వీరు నన్ను వెదుకుచున్న ఎడల వీరిని పోనీయుడని చెప్పాను. నీవు నాకు అనుగ్రహించిన వారిలో ఒక్కరినైనాను నేను పోగొట్టుకొనలేదని ఆయన చెప్పిన మాట నెరవేరినట్లు ఇలాగ చెప్పాను. సీమోను పేతురు నొద్ద కత్తి ఉండినందున అతడు దానిని దూసి ప్రధాన యాజకుని దాసుని కొట్టి అతని కుడి చెవి తెగ నరికింది. ఆ దాసుని పేరు మల్కు. యేసు కత్తి వరలో ఉంచును. తండ్రి నాకు అనుగ్రహించిన గిన్నెలోనిది నేను త్రాగకుందునా అని పేతురుతో అనెను.
So Peter did that, but Jesus did not. He said, Peter, we don't have to do this. Let this happen. Permit this, right? And then he touched the ear of that servant. What was his name? Malchus. He even gave the name of that servant whom ear he cut. So they actually even witnessed a miracle at that point. The ear was cut off, and Jesus touched the ear and then healed the ear. All of them were watching this. Right? At this point, even now, they were not willing to yield to the divine authority of Jesus Christ. Right? Their wrath against Jesus Christ was doubled even now. Right? That we must do something about Jesus. We must arrest him immediately, because at this point now they were worried, what else will he do? Will he free himself? Actually, the disciples also were very, very they were very surprised that Jesus was permitting himself to be arrested. Right? In so many other occasions where people tried, Jesus knew how to remove himself from that situation. Having that power, he still permitted himself. This is the fulfillment of the prophecy that is given in Isaiah 53. Right? What was the prophecy? He went like a lamb to the slaughterhouse. Right? He did not open his mouth. Right? Like a silent lamb to the slaughterhouse, he went. right? And so that was the moment that the disciples were also extremely surprised that what happened to the authority of Jesus. And they were very fearful for their life as well. But what is it that they came with? They all came with, what did Jesus say? You came with clubs and swords and spears and all these things just to arrest me, right? At this moment, if I want, I can summon 12 legions of angels to come, right? You know, in the Old Testament, the angels, when God sent angels, angels destroyed the Assyrian army, for example, 185,000 people in one night. That is how powerful the angels are, right? 12 disciples are here, but I can call 12 legions. One legion is 6,000. I can call 12 legions of angels right now. One angel is enough, right, to disperse the entire mob. What did you come with to take me? Did you think that these swords and these clubs and all these things, those are going to be effective against me? If I really wanted, could I not call that legions of angels? Right? And so, but he gave himself willingly. Right? Do you think that I cannot now pray to my Father, and what will he provide? More than 12 legions of angels. Right? But I am doing this so that the scripture has to be fulfilled. And in that hour, Jesus said to the multitudes, have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs to take me? Right? I sat daily with you, and I was teaching in the temple, and you did not take me. Right? You did not take me. You did not seize me that time. I have always done, I have not hid from you. I have done everything in the open, but you did not take me. But all of this must be done that the scriptures of the prophet should be fulfilled. He was talking about Isaiah, right? And this moment, all the disciples forsook him and they fled. Did Jesus not tell, all of you will be offended, all of you will disperse? And at that point, Peter retaliated. But at this point, he said, all of you are going to disperse. And they did. They were so fearful because of the way the Romans came, the temple guards came, all of them came to arrest Jesus. Because they were thinking he will try somehow to escape or he will do something there. And so many people came to arrest him. Right? Why do you have to come with all these things at this point? I've always been in the open. You could have taken me anytime. They had no answer to any of these things. Right? But Jesus allowed himself to be tied at the back. They tied him. In fact, they tied him earlier, and then when the Peter struck and the man's ear was cut off, he had to free his hands and then heal that person immediately. And then they tied him back. And then they took him. Right? Now it was almost past midnight. Right? So we're going to see in the next meeting, where did they take him? Right there. And then what happens in that trial. Amen?
Amen.